Supreme Cultural Council of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And it has certain articles, and this is number one. When it was created, the number one article says the universities should become Islamic. Okay? And the second article, or the second paragraph of the first article, it says the Islamic values should be preserved and all kinds of manifestation of the backward cultural aspects of the West should be removed, and anything that is against Islam, which originates from foreign cultures, have to be removed. So, and then the rest of it goes about the structure of the Cultural Council and so on and so forth. But these two principles apparently has remained all these years, to make universities Islamic and to not allow anything that is anti-Islamic. Now let's bring this back. This was at the time when this Cultural Council was created, all the way to just about several months ago, when the Minister of Science, Mr. Kamran Daneshju, a very ironic name for the minister, because Daneshju means a person who is a graduate student or a person who loves to seek knowledge. And he has repeatedly declared that universities are no place for secular professors and those who do not believe in a blueprint for the destruction of the Baha'i community in Iran. I'm not going to go through all the documents, I just have extracted the sentences which pertains to the education of Baha'is. And it appears that this formula was then later on applied to anyone whose opinions and whose beliefs are against that of the standard 12er Shia Islam of the sort that believes in Vilayat al-Faqih, the rule by the cleric rule. And it says, they can be enrolled in schools, they meaning the Baha'is, provided they have not identified themselves as Baha'is. Preferably, they should be enrolled in schools which have a strong and imposing religious ideology. They must be expelled from universities, either in the admission process or during the course of their studies, once it becomes known that they're Baha'is. And a lot of Baha'i students, when they go to, for example, take the entrance examination that Firuza mentioned, first of all, they're not allowed to even take the exam, and as of 2003, they definitely couldn't, and because of the pressure by UNESCO, in 2003, they finally removed that question about one's religion, so they went and took the exam, but when they were actually going to go and enroll in universities, then they were prevented at that stage. Then in the year 2006, the Ministry of Science, Research and Technology wrote a general letter to 81 universities in Iran, officially expelling Baha'is or denying them access to education. And here's the content of the letter in English. And we have obtained these letters essentially from the internet, because some of these students would go to the universities, they would ask, well, what is the legal justification for the denial of education? Some of the university authorities have shown them the actual official letters. So this is what it says. It says, respectfully, we inform you that in accordance with decree number 1327-M-S, with a date issued by the Supreme Revolutionary Cultural Council, the same thing that we mentioned, and the notification of the responsible authorities of intelligence office, if Baha'i individuals at the time of enrollment at university or in the course of their studies are identified as Baha'is, they must be expelled from university. Therefore, it is necessary to take measures to prevent the further study of the aforementioned individuals and forward a follow-up report to this office. Then a similar letter was written in November 2, 2006, and this was sent to universities in 4 provinces in Iran. To the Honorable Director of the Center, greeting. With respect, according to the ruling of the Cultural Revolutionary Council and the instructions of the Ministry of Information and the Head for Protection Office of the Central Organization of Payam Noor University, Baha'is cannot enroll in universities and higher education centers. Therefore, such cases, if enforced, should be reported, their enrollment should be strictly avoided, and if they are already enrolled, they should be expelled. Confirmation comes from God alone. That's how the letter ends. I have one more to share with you, and that's a letter dated March 17, 2007. Again, the Ministry of Science, Research and Technology wrote the following to the president of Payam Noor University, saying, pursuant to the letter referenced, the previous letter, from the university's Central Security Office concerning the non-enrollment of Baha'i students, given that the period of enrollment of Faragiran, meaning the students taking preparatory courses, is commencing in the next few days, please issue necessary instructions to prevent the enrollment of Baha'i applicants for the Faragir preparatory courses, and further have the names of such applicants submitted to the office for its use. So now, not only are they preventing the Baha'is from entering universities, when they do enter, they're collecting information about them so that they would then use these names in the online registration. So now when Baha'i students would go to register, some of them even without wanting to mention their religion, they are already pre-recognized. So some of the students actually sent us web pages that would come back with an error message. In other words, an error message that would not register them. And when I examined the actual web page, at the top of the error message, it noted error equal BAH. So BAH, of course, is the first three letters of Baha'i, which means someone actually coded it, that this student has been identified as Baha'i, and if prompted as such, you need to tell them that this is an error message about registration, which is, of course, indicates that this is completely systematic. And finally, just very recently, about a week ago or so, the Kayhan newspaper wrote an article with an appalling surprise that an open university in Iran has now recognized the Baha'i religion as a religion, and therefore they should be reprimanded for doing so. In other words, apparently in one university, apparently it was in Kermanshah, where students were actually given the option to take the entrance examination. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Baha'i. Because they actually included the option, they have now been identified by the Ministry of Information, and of course it's been now in the media, that they have violated the Iranian constitution. So there are a lot more documents to share with you, and of course I don't have time, and I'd like to allow some time for question and answer. All of these documents essentially show us that discrimination on education is a very systematic and predetermined measure by the Iranian government to deny anyone who thinks slightly differently. They could be politically active, they could be reformers, they could be atheists, they could be anything, as soon as it is recognized that they are following a different ideology than the standard understanding of Islam. And because the universities are supposed to be Islamized, then they are deprived from the right to education. So it is our hope, with our knowledge and the type of activities we could do, we put an end to this by our active participation and knowledge of this appalling discrimination in Iran. Thank you so much for your attention.